Menards Series. It is a proving ground.
We're going to jump in this thing, turn left.
Door-to-door, side by side for the lead. We brought the bullets in ARCA Series, baby.
I've never felt more freedom than ripping in a pack of 40 cars.
3-1 for the race lead as they go to turn one. Here they come to the checkered flag.
This is going to be a great season for ARCA.
For 75 years, race fans have been filing into the Berlin Raceway, and the relationship with the ARCA Menards Series dates all the way back to its inception. Tonight, it's round 7 of the 2025 season, the Hers Snacks 200 on Fox Sports 1. And ARCA has greeted us at this venue with a picture-perfect night. Many fans coming out on what is a very warm and comfortable evening of racing. And with the way in which this series has been unfolding, we can't wait to see what's going to happen tonight. Eric Brennan along with Phil Parsons, pleasure to be with you, and we've been looking forward to this race all year long. This track is beautiful, always dressed and ready. And Phil, the last time that we were with you at Michigan, Brendan Butterbean Queen got the points lead back just in time for a part of the season where he should be red hot.
Yeah, without a doubt. Who would have guessed by the time we got here to the first short track of the year that Butterbean would already have 3 wins out of super speedway and 2 intermediate racetracks? This is his wheelhouse right here. He's a great short track racer, as we can tell of all the championships he's won. But we have 8 short track races remaining, so more than half of our schedule is racing on short tracks. That's in his wheelhouse. He's going to have a lot of competition tonight, but Butterbean is the guy to watch for sure.
And as you said, the wins that have come already have not been where you would expect them. Of course, the season opener at Daytona, and then he went on to capture top honors at Kansas Speedway, the mile-and-a-half intermediate, where he also had a Truck Series start the year prior. And then just last week, after being behind the 8 ball following some trouble at Charlotte, he was able to celebrate in front of the Michigan fans, but this will be his first true short track start in ARCA here tonight at Berlin, and this is why we pencil him in as a proverbial favorite.
Yeah, you see 3-time track champion at Langley Stadium in Virginia, and he was a Cars Turn champion last year, something you know a lot about, but a great short track racer, great racer, period.
And he's certainly looking forward to the chance to wheel an ARCA car on tracks just like Berlin Raceway. The recent history with ARCA and Berlin has brought many amazing moments, some fierce battles for the win, and also some first-time winners. And you only have to go back about 2 years to see an example of both back in 2023. In fact, let's flash back and see what happened in this race just 2 seasons ago.
Jesse Love has led the entire way. He's the control car, and here we go. William Sawalich, what does he have with 2 to go? Some lap cars in front of Jesse Love. Jesse Love getting held up by those lap cars, and now Sawalich. He's had his bumper, trying to get underneath the 20 car. William Sawalich off of turn 4. Fire behind the left front of the 20 car. He's led all night long, but it's William Sawalich with a late move on the final lap. The 16-year-old wins.
It was a little bit more dirty than I wanted to, but it was last lap.
Been raced by the 18 really dirty, and you know, I'm gonna ballpark him every chance I get.
Phil, sometimes that hard-nosed approach, that's a reason why we see so many big names who have gotten their first career ARCA win at this venue.
How about that first name, Bob Sineker? He won races all over the Midwest. I've seen a lot of his wins, but got the win back in 1973, over 50 years ago.
4 of the last 5 Berlin races have delivered a first-time winner. Only exception was last season when Sawalich went back-to-back. The trend very well might continue in 2025 because earlier today in General Tire Pole Award qualifying, a driver looking for his first win captured top honors.
Yeah, only his second National Series start here. He finished 3rd at Phoenix in his first start. He was the fastest car in practice, and he sat on the pole here against a very, very stout field. So this guy is certainly one to watch, and maybe we'll add his name to that list of first-time winners right here at Berlin.
We caught up with Trayton earlier this afternoon. He said as of right now, this is his lone ARCA start for the rest of the season as of right now, and it's with the Nitro Motorsports team. He was put in a position to step into the ride that Thad Moffitt had been wheeling up to this point in the year, and Trayton is really excited for this opportunity. See the cars positioned on the main straightaway. The fans are ready. We are ready. And we are going to get set to send it down trackside to get the engines fired. We talked about the passionate fans at Berlin. They are going to help get the party started. 24 ARCA Menards Series competitors come to life, and we are getting set for 200 laps around the Berlin Raceway. We'll be back for the start of the Her Snacks 200 right after this.
You ready? Let's go. We on the mission, yeah, we on the mission. You all know the mission, that's destroy opposition.
Oh no, maybe a little contact off of turn 4.
Your winner at Berlin.
That's impressive.
We on the mission, yeah, we on the mission. The mission is to win and destroying competition.
Welcome back to the Her Snacks 200 for the ARCA Menards Series at Berlin Raceway, as we are getting set to add more memories to the ARCA Menards Series history and legacy at this racetrack. Let's take a look at our Bounty Rookie Spotlight driver, another driver who could potentially be a first-time winner in what is his first ARCA National start.
He's run 3 East races and won all 3 from the pole. He's led over 380 of the 450 laps run in the East Series, but this is his first National Series start, so he's going to be fun to watch.
The Her Snacks 200 starting grid is going to be positioned on the left side of your frame, as we are now about a half a lap away from the green flag of this race. 4 drivers in the top 5 looking for their first career ARCA Menards Series win. Championship points leader Brendan Queen, who starts 3rd, looking for his 4th win of 2025. The fans have come out on a beautiful night in Marne, Michigan. Let's get the party started. Trayton Lapcevich and LeVar Scott bring us down for the start, and the Her Snacks 200 from Berlin Raceway, the 7th race of 2025, is green. Scott ripping the top side off turn 2 to try to take the fight to Lapcevich right off the start, and he runs a little bit wide in 3 and 4 for Lapcevich to cement the lead and lead the opening lap.
Watch those cars run right next to that inside wall coming off turn 4. The 2 ends of this racetrack are completely different, and you drive them differently.
You see on the back straightaway, no outside retaining walls. Now Scott looks inside on Lapcevich. The battle for the lead is intense early, as LeVar Scott is not allowing Lapcevich to break free, and they've gapped themselves from Max Reeves, who runs 3rd.
Remember last year, LeVar Scott got a runner-up finish, his first of 2 career runner-up finishes right here at Berlin.
Now starting to settle a little bit in line as they're starting to catch some cars already at the tail end of the field. This racetrack, 7/16 of a mile. Sometimes when you catch the tail end of the pack, or some of these cars are a little bit not up to pace with the race leaders, it could be very tough and challenging to navigate through that traffic.
Yeah, especially off turn number 4, as we watch them run right against that inside wall. Saw Max Reeves take a peek at the inside of that 6 of LeVar Scott.
Scott now falling a little bit away as you see all of the traffic that they're starting to negotiate their way through. Scott in the 6, Reeves in the 18, working their way around Dale Scherer in the 98. That's allowed Lapcevich to open up a good bit of breathing room to the tune of about 3/4 of a second.
Yeah, you can catch a lap car at the wrong place, maybe center, or coming off the corner, and you're going to lose at least a half a second to your competitor.
Oh man, that was close. Now look at Scott way up the racetrack trying to get by Brad Smith. That's Michael Maples in the 99, who looks like he may have some hood damage on the front of his car. And 2nd and 3rd are able to get by cleanly with some clear racetrack ahead of them finally.
Quite possibly something happened to Maples maybe on the initial start to have that damage to the front of that car.
Top 3 start to catch their breath with Lapcevich nursing the advantage. Scott and Reeves your podium, with Brendan Queen and Mason Mitchell. Phil, this racetrack so unique, a lot of fun to drive.
As you mentioned, just a little less than a half mile. We call this a small half. You see the turns are banked 13 degrees up front, straightaway banked 9 degrees. But again, both ends of the racetrack are completely different.
And should for any reason a driver dip the right sides off of the racetrack on that back straightaway, that transition from pavement to grass is quite stark, because we've got a caution on the racetrack. This will be our first caution of the night. And it is for a spin by the 12 car that is the entry of Trevor Ward. It's right at the start-finish line.
See the 9 of Don Thompson, I think he just stopped to avoid contact with that 12 of Ward.
Caught up with Trevor, who is based out of Maine, who works with this fast track racing team, was offered up the opportunity to jump in this car and run this race for the 21-year-old. So he was really looking forward to the chance to have a couple of laps around this racetrack. Unfortunately, 10 laps in, he finds some trouble, and he will head back towards the attention of his crew.
Yeah, I'm not sure his owner, Andy Hillenberg, had that in mind for him to spin to bring out a caution, but these guys have their hands full on this racetrack. The very abrasive racetrack, very slippery. We're going to have 2 race breaks. We're going to have 5-minute breaks, one on or around lap number 75, and the other one on or around lap 125. As you can see right here, this race length is 200 laps, just under 100 miles, just under 90 miles. And the race breaks at 75 and 125. You can see William Sawalich won the last 2 back-to-back, and Les Snow, who was my brother's arch rival back in the late 60s in the ARCA Series, won the first race here.
This track, again, celebrating 75 years of operation. And if you walk around the property, you'd never know this place was that old. Everyone here at the Speedway does such a good job of keeping this place clean and pristine. And it's a really fun place to come out and watch a race. As we see Trevor Ward out of the car, and his night is officially going to end after that spin off turn 4. Well, we've seen a lot of drivers go to victory lane, a lot of them for the very first time in their career in ARCA history. Phil, what's it going to take for someone to do it tonight?
I tell you, throttle control is my #1 topic here at this racetrack. Talking to all the drivers, all the crew chiefs down in the garage area, you never really get wide open here. This racetrack looks like it has straightaways, but it's pretty much round. If it's not round, they race it like it's round. So throttle control is so critical here at this racetrack. And then rolling speed in the center of the corner. That's another extreme key, is that center roll speed, keeping the momentum. But this is a momentum racetrack. And obviously you have to take care of the tires, and all that kind of goes together. Throttle control, center roll speed, and saving your tires kind of all combined.
That's just some of what it's going to take for a driver to try to get the job done here at Berlin Raceway tonight. And we did see there briefly the number 99 car, Michael Maples, did get the free pass, and he did sustain some damage at the start of the race, but he was able to get that lap back that he lost when the leaders went by. Drayton Lapcevich has led all the way, but on the initial start, LeVar Scott gave him a bit of heat from, as we check in on Michael Maples, there's the damage to the front of that car, and Phil, it would add up that maybe that happened on the initial start.
Yeah, you can see at the very bottom of that front fascia is where the air comes in, so I don't think that's going to be an overheating problem for the 99. Could be a vision problem, though, for Michael Maples. You can see how high the back of the hood is.
With the pits being open, Maples is going to elect to come down and see if they could perhaps clear it out. Maybe a chance for him to get a little better visibility out of the windshield of that race car.
It's going to be almost impossible to make a pit stop here under caution and not lose a lap, just the way you have to come in basically in turn 1 and then turn backwards, like parallel to the back straightaway, and then re-enter back at turn 4.
As they come to the line here, this may be a good opportunity to point out that in ARCA, there is no choose. The race leader could choose if you want to start inside or outside. Everyone else lines up in their position as they would for when they started the race based on where they were running. Also, no restart zone. It is a single restart line. So that's something else that we will be keeping tabs of, with Lapcevich now ready to deal with his first restart of the night.
Yeah, if you look at the pylon on the left-hand side, it's because the 6 actually beat him to the start-finish line, where scoring is set.
So just as they started the race, it will be Lapcevich on the bottom in the 70, LeVar Scott in the 6 up top, coming back to green. 14 laps complete, 186 to go from Berlin.
Nice restart by Lapcevich. Now Max Reeves, that black car, is trying to get inside LeVar Scott for the 2nd spot.
Doors open for Reeves on the bottom. And behind him, the 25. That is former ARCA Menards Series champion Mason Mitchell trying to join the fight, as Reeves and Scott nearly bang doors off of 4 in the battle for 2nd.
It's so easy for the guys to try to just nail that throttle and try to get ahead of their competitors, but it does not pay dividends. You spin those tires and they're not going to be your friend.
And even if you don't pay the price instantly, it could come back to bite you later in the run as well, as Reeves will now cement the runner-up spot ahead of LeVar Scott. And they've opened up a bit of buffering between Scott and Brendan Queen, who rides fourth.
Be curious to see what kind of lap times Reeves can run as he tries to chase down Lapcevich. Lapcevich was about a 1/10.5 faster that lap, but clean racetrack this time for Reeves. We'll see what the lap time does.
A couple of Venerini Motorsports teammates having a tussle for fifth position. 25, Mason Mitchell. The 55, Isabella Robusto, who had a front row start at Michigan, came home with a top 10, still trying to right the ship after some of the bad luck that has found her in the early portion of the season. And so far, she's just one notch shy of a top 5 with one of the Venerini team cars a little bit further up the road.
Reeves was quicker the lap before Lapcevich, but this lap Lapcevich actually had clean racetrack. Reeves had to go around a lap car.
Now LeVar Scott in third, in danger of being under some pressure from Butterbean, who has reeled him in, separated by a couple of car lengths. Scott taking a much higher approach to turn 1, perhaps trying to position the car for some of the traffic they're about to endure on the back straightaway, but Queen is closing.
Nice momentum up off the corner for LeVar Scott from that high line. Again, that's where we talk about catching lap cars at the wrong time. LeVar Scott had to go around the outside of that lap car of Maples, exiting turn 4, where Butterbean didn't, and he actually gained on him a good bit.
Scott going almost a full groove higher in 3 and 4 than where Butterbean had set his car up to run. Driven by Pennsylvania native Don Thompson as Butterbean tries to size up Scott. Again, this is the battle for third, happening almost about 2 seconds off of the top 2 who have gapped the field for now.
I think Butterbean's showing a lot of patience here. No sense getting in a big hurry. A long way to go in this race, and we know we're going to have those 2 race breaks.
Here's your top 2 with Lapcevich continuing to nurse the lead. Last time around, Reeves was a little bit faster, going around Brad Smith, who is set to make a milestone start next week at Elko. He's celebrating start 449 for Brad Smith. 450 on the card for him next week.
He actually has more career starts than the entire rest of the field combined in ARCA. Good battle here for the lead.
We touched on it in the opener, but Lapcevich driving this car. This is the Nitro Motorsports team that has been running as the number 46 throughout the season with Thad Moffitt at the wheel. Unfortunately for Moffitt, who was up in the top 5 in points as that gets tight around Mandy Chick in the 67. That may be a Reese's Sweet Move of the Race nominee right there, having to thread the needle through some of the traffic, and they're doing it again on the back straightaway.
Max Reeves likes to.
That might be I think we just had a twofer there in that one lap.
Likes to take the road less traveled.
And now he's all over the back bumper of Trayton Lapcevich, the pole sitter.
This young man was up here racing in the big super late model race they had here just a week or so ago too, to get some experience.
Working their way around Brayton Laster and the Wayne Peterson team. Now around the club cars, Alex Club in the 03, Chris Golden in the 86. And that is not slowing Max Reeves down. He continues to apply pressure, now peaks inside in turn 3.
And as we talked, he's used to leading these races too. Again, first National Series start, but the same car that he won those 3 East races with earlier this year.
Caught up with Max earlier as we got another caution on the racetrack, and it's off at the end of the back straightaway. Tim Goulet has spun around in the Rise Motorsports number 31. It's going to be our second caution of the race. With 31 laps complete, Trayton Lapcevich has led them all. Working caution number 2 of the Hearst Snacks 200 here at Berlin Raceway with the ARCA Menards Series. A great battle for the lead with Trayton Lapcevich and Max Reeves. And those two have just not been able to get away from one another. Now we're going to tighten up how it looks even further with a restart upcoming.
It looks like Reeves' car may be a little bit better right now than Lapsevich. But getting around him is another thing.
I want to say hello to everyone who is joining us on Fox Sports 1. Now that we've wrapped up our MLB action for the afternoon, you're watching the Hearst Snacks 200, the 7th race of 2025 for the ARCA Menards Series season. Trayton Lapsevich started on the pole. We are working our second caution, this one for Tim Goulet, who had a misstep entering turn 3. But just before the yellow flag flew, Lapsevich, the leader, and Max Reeves in his ARCA Menards Series debut were having a great fight for the lead.
Yeah, can't wait till we go back racing. Remember, Reeves actually started the last restart from the second row.
Second caution is close to wrapping up. Lapsevich, Reeves, Scott, your top 3. ARCA Menards Series action from Berlin Raceway. We'll be back right after this. ARCA Menards Series racing on FS1 is brought to you by General Tire. General Tire, hashtag GT delivers. And by Reese's. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Reese's, not sorry. Getting set to restart here at Berlin Raceway for the Hearst Snacks 200. Trayton Lapsevich and Max Reeves wrapping up our second caution, and they make up the front row with LeVar Scott and Brendan Queen in row 2. And the Venerini Motorsports teammates Mason Mitchell and Isabella Robusto rounding out your front 6 as we get set to go back to racing with 163 laps to go.
Another great restart by Lapsevich. LeVar Scott now trying to grab that second spot back. He's not going to be able to do it.
Good exit for Max Reeves off that second turn as Lawless Allen now throws his name into the mix in that blue 20 car. LeVar Scott struggling to get going as Reeves is to the outside of Lapsevich for the lead as they approach turn 1.
That's a tough way to go around this racetrack, but Reeves is making it stick.
What a great battle for the top spot. Look at Lapsevich trying to hang on to that car on the bottom as it started to wash out wide on the back end, and they're door-to-door for the lead at the stripe.
Boy, that 18 car is strong. Not going to be able to make this pass work this time. See if he can get inside of Lapsevich.
Looking low as they may have touched there going into 3. Lapsevich slams the door on corner exit off 4.
Talked to Bobby Labonte down in the infield earlier today. Bobby actually helps Max Reeves, kind of like a driver coach, and almost even more than that. And he was stressing how important it's going to be patient in this race and not use up those tires.
Spoke with Max earlier today, and he said he is fully aware of the pressure that comes for running for this Joe Gibbs Racing team on the ARCA Menards Series side. You look at the winner of this race for the last 2 seasons. It was this car and team with William Sawalich. And he said with all the success they've had on the East Series, he knows the expectation is to come out here and do exceptional. Right now, I'd say he's doing a great job, albeit a half second off the leader.
Yeah, without a doubt. Long way to go in this race.
LeVar Scott running in 3rd, Brendan Queen 4th. Newcomer up into the top 5. Talladega winner Lawless Allen has gotten around both of his Venerini teammates, Mason Mitchell and Isabella Robusto, to move up into the 5th position.
Been extremely impressed with Lawless Allen's season, too. Some really, obviously, we talk about that big win at Talladega, but a great 3rd place run last time out at Charlotte. Excuse me, at Michigan.
Well, here's an opportunity for this battle for 6 continue on. We may have a candidate. I think we've had a bunch of candidates for Reese's Sweet Moves of the race so far in this race, and I'm sure we'll have a chance to look at some of them. A lot of them have been for the lead. How about Lapsevich here trying to protect the spot? Slam that door on Reeves.
Absolutely. I'll tell you, we can only pick 3 now, too, so we're going to have to be pretty selective. Nice move by Lapsevich to hold on to that lead.
Don't forget to log on to ARCARacing.com Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern. See who will be crowned with our Reese's Sweet Move of the race from Berlin.
Lapsevich has a little bit of breathing room now, about 0.6 of a second over Max Reeves. Almost identical lap times that last lap, within 3/1000ths of a second of each other.
Another pair of cars that just haven't been able to shake one another. Mitchell in the 25 and Isabella Robusto in the 55.
Solid runs for both of these drivers. Second start this year for Mason Mitchell. Great third place run at Kansas earlier this year. Mason Mitchell's record here at this racetrack is outstanding. You can see right there, 4 starts, 3 top 5s, including that runner-up finish back in 2015. Never finished out of the top 10 here.
And this was not a race that was originally on his schedule. This stop is part of an expanded effort with the Venturini Motorsports team, as he's been getting back into more ARCA competition after winning the title in 2014 with running his own race team. Finances just weren't where they needed to be for him to run, as he said, competitive. Stepped aside from racing for a while, started to run dirt, also was involved in mixed martial arts. But over the last few years, we've been seeing more of Mason Mitchell and more of his talents. And boy, he rolled right off the truck and got right in the mix with the full-timers.
Yeah, it's just hard to stay away. Once this gets in your blood, like it is for most of us, it's just so hard to stay away.
Right now, Mitchell's been able to fend off Robusto for the 6th spot for now. Trayton Lapcevich from the pole has led all the way. We're a quarter of the way through the Hearst Snacks 200 at Berlin. Welcome back to the Hearst Snacks 200 under our 3rd caution after Chris Golden making his 4th career ARCA Menards Series start and first of 2025 for the club racing team, has looped it around in the middle of turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, that gets us inside of the of that first race break, out or around lap number 75. Still have 11 cars on the lead lap right now.
See the officials trying to retrieve Golden. We'll try to see what we could piece together, and that was in front of our leader. So that, if Lapcevich was a little further up the road, that could have been a hair-raising moment or another Reese's Sweet Move of the Race nominee.
Yeah, looked like he had plenty of room by the time Golden did a nice job of getting that car off the racetrack.
Golden, originally from Texas, longtime dirt racer, was piecing together opportunities to further his career on pavement, and has since relocated to Elk City, Oklahoma as his hometown. He is unfortunately the reason for our 3rd yellow flag in this 200-lap race. Golden will rejoin the field, and we'll step aside. You're watching the Hearst Snacks 200 for the ARCA Menards Series on FS1. Welcome back to the Hearst Snacks 200 for the ARCA Menards Series on FS1. Located about 10 miles northwest of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Fans have come out in droves for a beautiful night of racing in the annual stop of the ARCA Menards Series.
What a great area, too. I never spent a whole lot of time. I grew up in Detroit, which is not all that far from here, but I never spent a whole lot of time up here, but it's a beautiful area.
Been a lot of fun checking out the scenery, not just at the racetrack, but in and around town. If you have not been to the Berlin Raceway, you need to put it on your motorsports bucket list. Maybe for the ARCA Menards Series and their stop in 2026, because we have had a great battle for the lead, and it's about to resume. We're about 10 laps away from the first scheduled race break. Trayton Lapcevich in the 70, Max Reeves in the 18 bring us back into the restart with 134 laps to go.
Side-by-side battle, almost 3 wide for a second for about 4th.
Lapcevich going to protect the lead. Oh, how about 3 wide again off turn 4? The car in the middle, LeVar Scott, Mason Mitchell up to the outside, and Wallace Allen was the car peeking the nose all the way down to the flat.
Saw Mason Mitchell on the outside. He lost that spot. It's just a farther way to go around the racetrack. There's grip up there. It's not a huge penalty, but it's just a longer way to go around this racetrack.
Trying to take advantage of this short run up to what should be our first scheduled break of the night, with Allen trying to maintain a top 5 spot. Mason Mitchell with a great run off turn 2. Oh, Mitchell overcooked the corner. He's going to lose a spot to Robusto, maybe off turn 4.
Call that jumping the cushion, even though there's no cushion up there.
So now move Robusto up into the 6th position, while Wallace Allen continues to pressure the number 6 of LeVar Scott for 4th.
Just a solid effort tonight for Isabella Robusto. monster. As you can see, 20 years old from Fort Mill, South Carolina. Really came on strong last year in a very limited number of starts. Had some really good runs. Should have won a West race out at Irwindale last year. Cut a right front tire down after leading most of that race. You can see she had the best finish ever by a female at Talladega with third place run. She just has had so much bad luck this year. A couple accidents not of her making, and a mechanical issue as well.
Her best career finish was second at Springfield on the dirt. That's discipline she has not had a lot of experience in. She's been brushing up on those skills. She was racing at Millbridge last week in a wing sprint car. Allen and Scott playing a bit of bumper tag off of turn 2. Lawless Allen wants another position before the race break, and he's pulling his teammate up into the battle as well.
Yeah, Butterbean has gotten by LeVar Scott to take over that third spot, which is really critical because you will restart on the inside of the second row if you're third at this break.
Now, with this race break coming up, let's take a look at what to expect in both of our race breaks tonight.
Remember, 4 crew members are allowed over the wall. You could put fuel on and tires. The restart order will be set by how you came down pit road. And remember, it's a little bit different wrinkle this year. Before, we've only had 6 tires in the pits allowed for these teams to put on. This year, they've given them 14 tires for the entire day. You can use them however you want. Most teams use 4 tires in practice, and then that leaves them with 10 tires for this race. Started with 4, and they will have 4 to put on at some point. Again, most of the teams will put those 4 tires on at the lap 125 break. They'll put 2 tires on this break here on lap 75.
And the break has arrived. It's going to be our 4th caution. This one for the race break. Trayton Lapcevich has led all the way as we hit our first opportunity for race teams to work on their cars. You're watching the Her Snacks 200 on FS1. Welcome back to the Her Snacks 200 for the ARCA Menards Series at Berlin Raceway in Marne, Michigan. Working our 4th caution of the race. This for our first of 2 scheduled race breaks. See the race teams waiting for the opportunity to get the go-ahead to begin their work on their cars, with Trayton Lapcevich having been the dominant car so far at this point in the race after starting on the general tire pole.
And we talked about how different that this racetrack is as far as pit road. It's in the middle of the infield essentially, so that's one of the reasons that the ARCA Series doesn't have live pit stops like we see in the National Series of NASCAR. And another issue is cost saving for sure.
And that graphic did show LeVar Scott leading a lap. He just happened to nose ahead of Lapcevich on one of the caution laps, so it's Lapcevich who has led pretty much all the way, with Max Reeves applying heavy pressure pretty much all the way throughout in his ARCA Menards Series debut.
Yeah, great opportunity for these crew chiefs to make some adjustments, knowing they have another 75 lap run at the end of the race after another race break. But again, some of these teams will have to make some adjustments because they're only going to put right side tires on more than likely. Lawless Allen has done a nice job right now running up in the top 5. He's had a great year too. He's had 4 top 4 finishes so far in our 6 races.
He is our Sioux Chief fast track driver for tonight's race, our Talladega winner and full-timer with Venerini Motorsports out of Trinity, North Carolina, 25 years old. Also been running a lot of truck series races for Tricon Garage. But Phil, he's right there in this championship fight.
Yeah, only 8 points out coming in here. He's really had a solid season, very, very consistent. Kevin Reed Jr., his crew chief, has really said he's done a nice job, and he's really learned this year. It's a little bit different when you're in a competitive situation like he is right now, and he's making the most of it.
Lawless making his first ARCA start at Berlin, fresh off the podium effort at Michigan last time out. Our first race break underway for the race teams. Trayton Lapcevich will bring us back down to green when we come back to the Her Snacks 200 on FS1. Welcome back to Berlin Raceway as the cars have been released from the pit area after the first scheduled race break, and they've returned to the backstretch with Trayton Lapcevich at the head of the field. And Phil, we've touched on this story a little bit as the race has gone on. For Trayton right now, this is his ARCA future for the moment. He was tagged to drive this car for Nitro Motorsports, the Nick Tucker-owned team that is going to be acquiring Venerini Motorsports essentially at the end of the year. But he's got a lot of fierce competition all around him and behind him, and the opportunity opened up after Thad Moffitt, the full-time pilot of that car this season, unfortunately had a partnership deal fall through. Nick Tucker and Trayton struck the deal for this race, and he's been executing all the way.
Yeah, I think if this team needs a driver going forward after the job he's done tonight, if he can finish it off anywhere up there in the top 2 or 3 finish, they're going to have to look at Trayton Lapcevich and maybe other teams as well.
Lapcevich off of a podium in his first ARCA effort at Phoenix earlier this season and has led every lap up to this point, fending off a very fast and hungry Max Reeves, who has been pretty much on the back bumper of the 70 throughout this entire contest up to this point.
Remember, he ran full-time last year in the Cars Tour, won a race at North Wilkesboro, Cars Tour race, and then we mentioned earlier he won the South Carolina 400 at Florence, South Carolina, the big race down there. So he's the real deal for sure.
Here's Max Reeves, who already has 3 ARCA starts, 3 ARCA wins, and a tremendous amount of laps led, trying to size up the opportunity maybe to go 4 in a row on the east side after he didn't have the opportunity to compete at Rockingham earlier this season. And Max Reeves is someone who also has been highly touted by many people within the sport, and he's showing why tonight.
Right behind him, we've got Butterbean, who actually grabbed that 3rd spot after that last restart. And again, I mentioned that's critical because he will line up on the inside of row number 2, maybe be able to take advantage of Max Reeves starting on the outside to try to grab that 2nd spot. But you can see his last 3 finishes. Had a flat tire at Charlotte, certainly in contention there as well, but 2 wins out of 3.
LeVar Scott for the Rev Racing team comes into this night single digits out of the championship points lead, just 6 markers out. He's been consistent with top 5 finishes all year long. But Phil, I spoke to LeVar just before he was getting ready to come out to the Fan Fest, and he said, you know, we were really proud of our intermediate package all last season. This year, we wish we had a little bit more pace. I'm really looking forward to the short tracks, and he's been in the top 5 all night. And
he's been so consistent too. 17 of his last 18 starts in the ARCA Series, he's finished on the lead lap. And that is consistency.
Venerini Motorsports makes up the next 3 spots with Lawless Allen in 5th, Isabella Robusto 6th. Then Mason Mitchell, Isaac Kitzmiller running an 8th spot.
That's Isaac's dad.
Oh, you're correct. Jason Kitzmiller. They'll be racing head-to-head in a few races.
That's right.
That's your top 8. Good catch. We get set for the restart here. It'll be 119 laps to go with Trayton Lapcevich and Max Reeves again bringing us back to the restart.
Keep an eye on that guy inside 2nd row, Butterbean. Let's see if he can take advantage of the 18 of Max Reeves. He's not going to be able to. Max is going to have that spot.
Behind him, Lawless Allen trying to climb as high up as he's been all night long in the running order as Reeves gets a great drive off turn 4, about a half a car length behind Lapcevich for the race lead.
Well, he can make it work down in 3 and 4, but going the long way around the racetrack in 1 and 2 has not been an advantage for sure. Now Butterbean's going to move in on the 18 of Max Reeves.
Look at Butterbean there sliding the back into the race car into the turn 4, trying to keep his foot on the throttle as he peaks down low on Reeves for 2nd.
We often marvel at the adjustments that Stephen Dawson and Shane Huffman are able to make on this 28 car when they have the opportunity. And Butterbean's driving the wheels off it right now as well. How about Lawless Allen, though? Trying to move to the inside of Butterbean in that 20 car.
Allen is now closed up to make it a 3-car race for the runner-up spot while Lapcevich tries to set sail. Queen right in the tire tracks of Max Reeves, that time through 3 and 4. And he's still less than a car length off the back bumper, now looking to the inside.
You can see the 18 of Max Reeves slides up a little bit in the center of the corner down in 1 and 2. Butterbean is able to get the nose in there, but Max Reeves has the momentum up off the corner.
We may be about 14 laps shy of halfway, but we have had great racing all night long across the top 5, and this battle for 2nd, no exception.
Now, Lapcevich is loving these 3 guys battling for that 2nd spot.
Lapcevich has built up the lead about a 1.5 seconds the gap. Now a little bit more back to this battle with Reeves trying to hold on to the runner-up position. Brendan Queen, another South Carolina 400 winner at Florence Motor Speedway, a track that looks very similar to Berlin with no backstretch wall and the way in which it banks and drives. And Lawless Allen trying to give the fight not only to Queen for 3rd, but also what would be a good points opportunity for Allen if he can get around the championship points leader.
Butterbean is hung out coming off turn 4 just about every lap. There's our leader left side of your screen, Lapcevich, and you can see now he's almost a straightaway ahead of this battle for 2nd.
Right side of your screen, the battle for that runner-up spot. Lapcevich about to catch some cars at the tail end of the lead lap. Going around Michael Maples now off of turn number 4 with Brad Smith a little bit further up ahead of Maples.
The battle for second has calmed down just a bit. A couple car lengths now for Max Reeves over Butterbean.
These drivers know they'll get another opportunity to work on their race cars with our second and final scheduled race break. Going to come on or around lap 125, and then it will be a 75-lap stretch run to the finish, as now Reeves and Butterbean get around the couple of cars that Lapcevich was just able to dispose of. So Reeves being able to pretty much maintain a 1 to 2 car length advantage over Butterbean for the moment.
Meanwhile, Lapcevich has opened up about a 2-second lead right now on the 18 of Reeves.
Lapcevich certainly doing a great job being able to manage this midway portion of the race.
There's Mason Mitchell right now holding down that 7th spot. We talked about his prowess here at this racetrack. He's been up as high as 5th. This is as far back as he's been in 7th, right behind his teammate Isabel Robusto.
Yeah, Mitchell's got a lot more starts on his plate for 2025 with this Venerini Motorsports team. Great to have Mason Mitchell back in ARCA Menards Series competition, and he's doing a solid job with that team right now. As we check in, we saw number 97 of Jason Kitzmiller roll past us there. There's a look at Jason. And Jason has a lot of good help with him today, including a 3-time winner and multi-time ARCA champion, his crew chief, Frank Kimmel.
Yeah, I talked to Frank a good bit down in the garage area, and he said Jason really wasn't looking forward to coming here. He's more of a hard throttle kind of guy, but he's really done a nice job. I talked to Frank after practice, and he said he really has done a nice job. You mentioned Isaac. You called him Isaac, that son, the other day, and Isaac is here. I talked to him in the garage area as well, doing a super job in the ARCA East Series. He's actually leading the points over there.
He'll be racing against his dad in the companion events. How about Willie Mullins returning to ARCA competition? He ran the season opener at Daytona, was caught up in a crash, former pole winner at Daytona last season, and runner-up in the race back in 2018. We caught up with Willie as he makes contact with Kitzmiller in this battle for a top 10 spot off turn 4. Really excited for this race, getting a little bit physical just before halfway.
It was. Jason Kitzmiller getting racy here, and so is Willie Mullins as well. Big Willie. You mentioned he had the pole at Daytona. He's also had a runner-up finish at Daytona. Talked to him down in the garage here. He's going to run to Elko, Minnesota next week as well. And Will Kimmel will actually be helping him as crew chief next week.
Wonder if Will and Frank are going to talk about the bit of door banging that just happened between these two about a lap ago. Mullins running in 9th position as things stand, and the car that is starting to enter the frame is a driver who is a local to this speedway from Sawyer, Michigan. After being able to strike the deal to run this race with the Fast Track Racing team, Matt Kemp rounds out our top 10.
Yeah, no surprise to see Matt Kemp up on the top 10. He ran the East race at Flat Rock just a few weeks ago, had a top 5 finish there. He finished 4th. So Matt Kemp is for real, and he probably has more experience here at this racetrack than about anyone else in this field. But it's in a dwarf car.
Set the track record in that dwarf car just a couple of weeks ago here at Berlin Raceway, and got himself win number 27 of his dwarf car racing career. As we check in on Trayton Lapcevich. Let's check on the Richmond Water Heaters mid-race report, with Lapcevich being the dominant car up to this point in a race that's seen a couple more cautions than we've been accustomed to. Right now, 11 cars on the lead lap. And again, Lapcevich has pretty much been on a rail, and he's making a statement at the midway portion of this event.
Yeah, we had 4 cautions, including our race break in the first half of this race. Been clean, though, since that restart after the race break.
Lapcevich with about the biggest lead he's had all night long for the 2023 NASCAR Canada Series champion. And you see how he's been able to open up that gap back to Max Reeves over the last few laps.
You talk about that championship in NASCAR Canada. It was 2023. They had 14 races, and he won 7 of them. Exactly half of the 14 races.
I know we've touched on it before, but Lapcevich then decided he was going to take his talent stateside, ran the Cars Tour full-time for Chad Bryant Racing, got a win at North Wilkesboro. He thought he had an opportunity to do something on the national level. It didn't materialize in time for 2025. Now he's hoping for his first ARCA win as we check in on Robusto and Mitchell in the battle for 6th position.
Seems these two Venturini cars have been together just about since the drop of the green flag. I was talking to Isabella's dad down in the garage area earlier. Isabella usually has her mom with her, but her dad said we need to change our luck, so he's here instead of mom.
Had a long talk with Isabella before the Michigan round last week where she got the front row start, got the top 10 finish, and she said, you know, we don't really want to change what we're doing. We're trying to control what we can control. But this part of the season, this is what I'm looking forward to. With the ARCA commitment, she hasn't been racing as much as she had in years past across multiple different disciplines of cars. She said to get in a rhythm with this crew and with this team at this point in the season and run several races back to back to back, I think this is what we need to turn our effort around this year.
Yeah, and they had a crew chief change this week as well. Danny Johnson is now calling the shots on this 55 car for the Venturinis.
And Isabella also with a lot of experience on the short track side of things after running several different types of events in late model stock cars, pro late models, and more. Right now doing a good job holding down 6th.
Well, these laps really click off at 18 seconds a lap. Everyone doing a nice job keeping these cars clean.
One thing that has started to fluctuate a little bit is the margin between our race leader and runner-up. Max Reeves, the last few laps, was able to shave down the advantage to just over a second as Lapsevich found himself in a knot of cars either at the tail end of the lead lap or off the lead lap.
It had an almost 2-second lead not long ago, and you can see now it's just over 1 second.
Let's check in on the car that is currently running in the 11th position. It's the 11 car of Tony Cosentino, who's making another start with the fast track team. Spoke with Tony earlier in the pit area. He was so happy to put this deal together. Has a top 10 here in the past. It's his 24th career ARCA start and 4th of 2025 for the driver out of Mansfield, Ohio.
Yeah, he finished 11th at Charlotte, which was a solid effort for Tony. And again, he's got pretty good pace right now. We're only about 10-12 laps away from our next race break, and he will remain on the lead lap for sure.
Said he's hoping to do what he can to run as many races as possible. He's been working very close with Andy Hillenberg on the fast track operation. And I posed the question, being that he's from Mansfield, how excited is he to hear that Mansfield Motorsports Park is coming back? Now that Matt Tiff took over operations, he says, I never raced there, but I love the fact that my hometown is getting a racetrack back. You don't see that all that often, and Tony's pumped about it.
Yeah, I'd love to see Matt put ARCA on the schedule for next year.
Check back in on our leader, and the same batch of traffic that he had to get through that cost him that half a second was now able to work his way through.
Wallace Allen all over the back of Butterbean in a battle for third here.
Allen is a car that just has not faded at all, and he's trying to make it a good points day. He's ahead of LeVar Scott, who came into the night a few markers up ahead of him in the championship, now trying to get around the points leader for third.
You see the 18 of Max Reeves is right in front of Butterbean too, so these three cars have been together ever since our last restart after the first race break.
They may have separated a little bit for this middle stint, but they've all accordioned back together.
Just a few laps away from the next race break, and again we'll be able to put 4 tires on all these cars. 4 new tires gives these crew chiefs another opportunity to make some adjustments. Who will make the right ones?
And based on the pace that we have seen out of this top 4, that run to the end, that final 75 lap block that's going to let us see who will win the 2025 running of ARCA Racing at Berlin, I think that's going to be something that it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, because these cars have been really close on pace throughout this whole race.
All these drivers have been extremely patient. They haven't really used the bumpers like we're used to seeing, like we saw a couple years ago. So
not yet, at least.
Not yet.
Working their way around Tony Cosentino, who has just fallen off the lead lap. Tony is hoping that the caution flag will fly before Trayton Lapsevich gets up to Matt Kemp, who runs in the 10th position. That way he could be the recipient of the free pass.
Yeah, I really thought Tony had enough pace to stay on the lead lap, so he must have lost some ground lapping by some of the lap cars. But again, I think Kemp's the same situation. He's at least 3 seconds ahead of Lapsevich right now on the racetrack with only about 3 or 4 laps to go.
One thing I love about this racetrack, Phil, the drivers seem to have options. It is a short track, but you see so many different trajectories and angles getting in and out of the corners on each end of the racetrack. That's got to be fun for these drivers.
Without a doubt it is. We see you drive turn 3 and 4 a little bit different than you do 1 and 2. All these drivers will kind of dime in the corner. That means they will go in, maybe the second lane, maybe the bottom lane, drift up a little bit in the center corner, turn the car hard, and come right off next to the inside wall, which is not even racetrack, really. It's actually the apron of the racetrack, but they use that for grip.
I think on Lapsevic's pole run, you may not have been able to fit a piece of paper between the left front fender and that inside wall. He was cutting it so tight as he completes lap number 125. And there is our 5th caution of the race and our 2nd and final race break. After Lapsevic had opened up a nearly 2-second lead. In what has been a dream night so far for Trayton Lapsevic, he's got 75 more circuits to go. You're watching the Hersnacks 200 on FS1. This is a really fun part for the ARCA Menards Series season. Next week, June 21st, the short track stretch continues. Elko, the home of the 3-wide photo finish a year ago. Then we go to a new venue, Lime Rock Park. That's going to be a fun one.
It is another road course. And then the Monster Mile, high-banked concrete 1-mile oval in Delaware.
The next 3 ARCA Menards Series races that you can catch across the Fox family of networks. And even talk about the upcoming dirt races in the summer. I love the build-up and mix of this ARCA calendar every year.
We've always talked about how diversified this schedule is, and one of the most diverse schedules really in all of motorsports.
I don't think you'll find a calendar that will ever compare to what ARCA delivers on an annual cadence. And Berlin has been part of that history. And this race has been part of the reason why we love it so much. The top 2, in fact, the top 4, I would say, have been even on pace at certain points throughout this race. They just wrapped up the final race break of the night. With Trayton Lapsevic, the box score may say that he's led every lap up to this point, but it has not come without a challenge. Max Reeves and that Joe Gibbs Racing team have made their final adjustments on that car for that young man in his debut, and both drivers on the front row vying for their first career ARCA win.
Yeah, Lapsevic cannot afford any kind of slip, any kind of misgear, anything like that, because Reeves will certainly pounce.
Behind them, a couple of drivers who have not only gone to victory lane already this season, but they're also battling for the season-long points lead and championship. Brendan Butterbean Queen and Lawless Allen. Also, LeVar Scott in 5th in the championship title fight as well. Also looking for his first career ARCA Menards Series win. Getting set for the restart. It'll be 70 laps to go when they get back to the line. Trayton Lapsevic on the bottom, Max Reeves up top. Here we go. Lapsevic has been so good on starts and restarts all night long, and he takes sole possession of the lead as there's contact behind him. LeVar Scott and Robusto bouncing off each other. Battle for 5th.
Yeah, Isabella's trying to take advantage, trying to gain this spot. Easiest time to pass somebody. How about side by side for 2nd?
Butterbean pushed up the racetrack a little bit. You see a bit of tape there on the nose of that race car. Might have sustained some damage at some point in this race that they've had to patch up right underneath the Chevy logo on that PRG team, number 28. But that's not stopping them from trying to get 2nd away from Max Reeves.
You know, we've talked in the past about the series, and there's 3 different engines. We have a side-by-side battle continuing for that 5th spot. Isabella's trying to make it around the outside of LeVar Scott. Now see if she can do the switch over, get to the inside of him.
All the way down to the flat off turn 2. It's going to cost her a little bit of momentum on corner exit, and Scott will defend the position for now as they almost come together in 3.
I was watching just in front of him. There it is right there. Great shot of that blue car of Lawless Allen. He was trying to get underneath Butterbean, trying to grab that 3rd spot. I was mentioning the fact that we have 3 different engine combinations that you can run in this series. You can run an Elmore engine, which most of the competitors have, or you can run a legacy engine, which is original, a Chevy or Ford or Toyota engine. And you can also run what they call a Yates spec engine. And that's what that 18 car has in it. Lawless Allen's going to get to the inside.
Got Butterbean up off the bottom of the racetrack. Here comes Lawless Allen for 3rd. A lot of room between those 2 cars right now as we got a spin. Brad Smith has gone around right in front of that battle for the runner-up position.
Wow, they were side by side entering the corner, and Brad was turned sideways in the racetrack.
While Lawless Allen and Brendan Queen were fighting for third and closing on Max Reeves, it is Brad Smith in career start number 449 of his ARCA Menards Series career, who has a big moment in turn 1. Well, that battle for position was not the only one that we were keeping our eye on. That battle for 5th was also intense since the restart from the race break, and it's given us another Reese's Sweet Move of the Race nominee.
There was contact right there between the 6th, LeVar Scott, and Isabella in the 55. Isabella's going to fight back on the outside, and they get down to turn number 1. Now she's going to try to make the switch, move back to the inside, get her car turned. She got down on the apron. It got a little bit rough down there.
Boy, that's some good stuff. And that's what we expect to see as this race trends closer to completion. The level of intensity and physicality continuing to ratchet up. Don't forget, Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern, ARCARacing.com to see who is crowned with the Reese's Sweet Move of the Race, the Hers Snacks 200 here at Berlin Raceway. Fortunately, Brad Smith's car did not refire after the spin, so he is getting a pushback to the attention of his crew.
I think Becca Monopoly, we saw her pass the leader just a moment ago on the caution. She will get the free pass. She's running in the 12th spot, really doing a fine job.
Monopoly, the driver out of Lakeland, Florida. Trying to see if Becca can get up or potentially in or around the top 10, depending on how the rest of this race unfolds.
Yeah, 11th is her best career finish, which happened at Toledo. On somewhat similar racetrack, a little more bank than here at Berlin.
It's working our 6th caution, 4 of which have been for cause. Trayton Lapsevich out in front in what, as of right now, is his only scheduled start the remainder of this year. And here's a look at a synopsis of what the ARCA Menards Series is all about. Phil, we touched on this a short while ago, but this breakdown of this schedule, that's what makes it so much fun.
That's about the only kind of options we have are super speedway, short tracks, dirt tracks, and road courses. And we talk about the East and the West. Exact same rules as what the National Series has. As a matter of fact, some of the races like Phoenix early in the year, that's a combination race between the National Series and the West Series. And then the next 4 races on the East Series schedule will all be combination races with the National Series.
Presents a lot of unique opportunities for us to see some stars who may have committed to a regional side, but here's the breakdown of the different type of venues that we go. We've had a lot of intermediates to start the year. 7 short tracks that we're going to kick off here with this run tonight at Berlin. Daytona and Talladega already in the rearview mirror. Lime Rock right around the corner. Watkins Glen later in the year. Then the annual stops at Springfield and DeCoin for those dirt mile ovals.
Yeah, can't wait. What a great schedule here, and always has been here in the ARCA Menards Series.
Wrapping up our 6th yellow of the event. Trayton Lapsevich has led all the way since capturing the General Tire Pole Award. And the last few restarts for Lapsevich, I would say pretty much all the restarts that he's had to do tonight have been just about perfect. The question is Max Reeves taking notes on what to expect for what could eventually, this may end up being the final restart. We may have another one later down the road. Is there anything that Max could do differently to challenge that 70 car for the lead?
It's such an advantage for these drivers to be the control car like Trayton Lapsevich is. He knows when he's going to go. These drivers all have similar transmissions, essentially the same engines. They're getting a little different engine, as I was talking about on the 18. Probably not quite as much torque as the Ilmore engine that Lapsevich has in his car, so that may be why Lapsevich is able to get such a good jump on this restart, or on every restart.
He's going to try to do it here again. As we see the lights are out atop the pace truck, it'll be 58 laps to go when we come back around.
You talk about the restart line, not a restart zone here in the ARCA Series, but Reeves has to be a little bit careful, because if you beat the leader to that line, even by 3 inches, ARCA will call you to the pits for a penalty. So he has to be extremely careful that he doesn't go try to time it and go just a tick too early.
We'll see what happens here as they come back to the line. 58 laps to go at Berlin. Lapsevich and Reeves again make up the front row. And that's about as good of a restart I think Max Reeves has gotten all night long, but Lapsevich still pulls them in 1 and 2.
Yeah, that 70 car is so strong on these race starts, and he gets through 1 and 2 as well. It's not like he just gets the jump. He also gets through 1 and 2 well.
But on the other end of the racetrack, Reeves right to the rear spoiler of Lapsevich. Bit of a bobble by Max Reeves in second spot as he got back to the power off turn 4.
This battle for second, third, fourth has continued. Seems like they've run like that for at least 75 laps as Lawless Alan tried to stick that nose inside of the Butterbean. Wasn't quite able to do it, but it looks like Lawless Alan has a little bit better car right now than the 28 of Butterbean. Let's see if he can make this pass happen.
Butterbean's going to give up the bottom of the racetrack to Allen to see if he can do anything with it. And now as they approach turn 1, here's Lawless Alan just about up to the left side door of Butterbean in this fight for third. Allen trying to keep the car off of Butterbean in this fight for position with LeVar Scott and Isabella Robusto trying to close up. And Butterbean will concede the spot in the entrance to turn 1.
Great pass by that 20, and now let's see if he can chase down that 18 car and do something with Max Reeves.
Second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth all in your frame. With Lapsevich navigating about a 1 second opportunity. Caution is out. Tony Cosentino has had a problem at the end of the back straightaway.
He got his car righted and back going.
Tony was running in the top 10 at the time of the incident. I'm not sure if that's dirt from the off-track excursion that is coming out from underneath that race car, or if there may be something mechanical that has compounded the problems for the driver out of Mansfield, Ohio.
As you mentioned, he was running in the top 10, really doing a nice job. One of our 11 cars that are still on the lead lap. Still on the lead lap right now as well. Let's see if he can catch up to the field.
While Cosentino tries to join the tail end of the pack, he was at battle for third. This was some good racing for P3.
It was, and Butterbean gave Lawless Alan some room. He realized that that 20 car was fast. Butterbean has had that 20 car on his rear bumper for about 75 laps, it seems like. And again, the 20 car will be able to restart on the inside of the second row.
And that may end up being another opportunity for Reese's sweet move of the race. That pass by Lawless Alan to give him the inside of row 2 for the upcoming restart. You'll find out who's crowned our Reese's sweet move of the race from the weekend. ARCARacing.com, Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern. We are 3/4 of the way through the Hearst Snacks 200 at Berlin Raceway. Trey Lapsevich, Max Reeves, Lawless Alan, and more are going to fight it out for the win when we come back. ARCA Menards Series racing on FS1 is brought to you by Menards. Save big money at Menards. And by Bounty. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper. You gotta love the Berlin Raceway. Between the Hall of Fame, the massive wall they've built that includes some of the biggest names in Midwestern motorsports, and also just a superb facility that's about to set the stage for, I think, is going to be a thrilling finish with the ARCA Menards Series.
Inside of 50 laps to go. Might be time to get a little more aggressive here.
Trayton Lapsevich on the bottom has been the dominant car. Max Reeves in his ARCA Menards Series debut. Outside in the JGR 18. Lawless Alan, Butterbean, row 2 as we get back underway with 47 laps to go.
Lawless wasn't able to parlay that second row into a pass for second, although he's working on that 18 car of Max Reeves.
Trying to keep the nose of his car to the inside, the left rear quarter panel of Max Reeves, but Reeves will pull him off turn 2 to hold on to second for now.
Yeah, the apron doesn't work as well off of turn 2 as it does right here off of turn number 4. A little bit rougher down there off of turn 2.
Not going to stop Allen from trying, though. He almost got to the back bumper of Reeves that time off the second turn.
Battle continues with the 6th LeVar Scott, the 55 of Isabella Robusto. That is a battle for the 5th spot, and Mason Mitchell right there as well in 7th. How about Big Willie? That 3-car moving in there, running 8th.
Willie sees the Menard Motorsports and Rev Racing cars out the windshield, knowing those are full-time competition and competitors. We were talking to Willie earlier. They said that a lot of their help tonight are frequent racers, easy for me to say, at Dominion Raceway. Well, next week they got a regular show, so they're going to lose a lot of their crew members for the Elko contest next week. Right now, he is giving this family-owned operation. They own a truck repair shop in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and Willie's up there running with the big teams right now.
Yeah, doing a fine job too, as well as this young man driving this 70 car. Was talking to Trayton. He's actually has one more year of college left, and he's interning right now with an accounting firm in Canada. He wants to get his CPA. I said maybe just so you can count all that money that you're going to make as a race car driver.
He certainly has a knack for winning races, especially events and tracks that he'd never seen before. A lot of the events that he was able to come out on top over the last year or so, especially stateside, were all at racetracks where he did not have much of a history. This is a bit of an exception, Berlin Raceway. Never run in an ARCA car, but he's run some of the big money super late model shows here in the past.
He's opened up almost a 2-second lead. As you can see left side of your screen, 1.85 second lead over that 18 of Max Reeves with under 40 to go.
Reeves doing a good job nursing the runner-up position with Lawless Allen, who started in 7th spot, has raced his way up into a podium position, trying to get his 2nd consecutive 3rd place finish on the ARCA Menards Series after doing so at the 2-mile oval at Michigan. It's the highest he's run in this race so far, but he's looking for more.
And right now running ahead of Butterbean, obviously the guy leading the points. So if he can stay ahead of Butterbean, then it will be a gain, albeit a small gain, but nonetheless a gain.
Speaking of Butterbean, we talked about Trayton Lapsevich having success in that South Carolina 400 event at Florence. Butterbean, that was one of his big breaks with the Lee Pulliam team. His first win with the organization that propelled him to the Cars Tour Championship, that gave this opportunity and this ride. And Phil, I happened to catch an interview that David Green, former NASCAR Xfinity Series champion, gave, talking about this race team. Remember, his son Austin won with the organization at Charlotte, and he said it didn't take long for him to be around Shane Huffman and this group to understand why they all just click so well. They are racers doing what they love most, what they're good at, and that's why Butterbean's been having a great year. So is LeVar Scott.
Certainly is. Again, no surprise to see LeVar Scott running up in the top 5, chasing down the 28 of Butterbean right there. Again, finished 2nd in this race last year, his first runner-up finish in his career. He has a 2nd runner-up finish, but trying to get that first win, but still piling up the top 5s.
LeVar is someone who, just by watching him navigate his way through the ARCA garage, knows just about everyone, is friends with just about everyone, just a really important presence in the ARCA pits, and he's doing a great job here tonight as we check in on Isabella Robusto, who's running in 6th.
And it's nice to see Isabella having a run without any bad luck. She's had some really good runs when she didn't have any bad luck. We've talked about the 3rd place finish at Talladega, top 10 at Charlotte a couple races ago.
Isabella is someone who loves the grind, if you will. I've talked to her before about the very intense training regimen that the Toyota and TRD family often has their drivers follow. And I said, is there any facet of it that you may not look forward to? And she said, well, honestly, no. I enjoy all the preparation that it takes for me to perform at my best on race weekends. And was it Tom Brady who said you have to love the work in order to be good at it? Isabella's certainly right there.
Yeah, and I mentioned Charlotte. It was, again, Michigan. I don't know why it's hard for me to say Michigan. We're in Michigan right now as well.
Former ARCA champ Mason Mitchell, the Federated Motorsports number 25, running in 7th. Mentioned the expanded schedule for Mason, along with the Kansas start earlier this year, and tonight he's going to run Lucas Oil Raceway Park, Iowa, Madison, Salem, and then Kansas again in the fall.
Seems like Lapsevich gets about a 2-second lead and then maybe backs off, tries to save his tires. Doesn't quite get over 2 seconds, but he keeps it right around 2 seconds. Really doing a fine job. Again, no huge surprise. We know how talented this young driver is.
If you think back to Phoenix, the wild finish we had there between Brendan Queen and Brent Cruz, Cruz the eventual winner, it was a one-lap shootout at the end of that race where Lapsevich was the car that peaked 3 wide to the bottom but did not force the issue. I posed the question to Trayton. If that was to happen in another circumstance, or maybe even tonight, knowing this was the only race you have left as of right now, would you force the issue? And he said, honestly, it depends on the type of car that I have. I know I didn't have a race-winning car at Phoenix. I wanted to get what I could out of it. If I know that I'm fast, and he proved it in qualifying, he said, I'll likely be as aggressive as I have to be. So far, we haven't had to see him overwork the race car just yet. But if it comes down to a late race restart, or if there's pressure towards the end, he seems locked and motivated to not let this one slip away.
Yeah, especially after dominating like he has, leading all 175 laps. You certainly don't want to let one get away from you on a late restart.
And Lapsevich trying to join a list that is pretty illustrious of drivers who have gotten their first career win at Berlin Raceway. And you see many of the drivers listed there, even recently, they're running on Saturdays or Sundays on a national level. And a lot of them have paved tremendous legacies throughout their motorsports careers.
How about Eric Jones back in 2013? It's hard to believe that Eric Jones was racing in the ARCA Series back in 2013 because he wasn't very old then.
Lapsevich hoping he can catch a bit of a break through this traffic. Max Reeves behind him has gapped Lawless Allen in the battle for second.
You know, for the most part, the lap cars have really done a nice job of staying out of the way. I had my doubts during practice. It seemed like when the faster cars were trying to get around lap cars that they really were in the way, but they've done a nice job in this race as you see Butterbean move around Brad Smith in the 48. Brad Smith, we saw him have some issues, had to go back to the garage area, but back on the racetrack now running 15th.
Here's Scott in the 6 and Butterbean in the 28 in what is a tightening up fight for 4th position.
Getting close to 20 laps to go. It is 20 laps to go now for these competitors. Talk about lap cars getting in the way. That's exactly what's going on right now for Butterbean, is that lap car's in the way. Look at it on the inside.
And LeVar is going to keep the nose way down to the inside on Michael Maples. Goulet almost up into the wall, and they touch off turn 4. Butterbean not wanting to give up the spot. Now Scott in a 4-wheel drift off turn 2 and back to the inside in a tremendous fight for 4th. And they touch.
Contact.
And Scott may have a bit of damage to the left rear of that car. We'll have to watch it under load again as he comes to turn 1.
Saw some smoke off that left rear. Definitely a tire rub on that left rear for LeVar Scott. Nice thing about these composite bodies, though, they're not metal bodies that would cut that tire as easily.
And you can tell that Scott's got the bit between his teeth as he is trying to get back to Butterbean, with Lawless Allen walking away from this fight.
We just hope that left rear holds up on that 6th car.
Behind them, Isabella Robusto says, boys, keep at it, because she is charging right now from 6th.
There's Isabella right there. That's the gap in front of her to LeVar Scott, who's running in the 5th spot.
15 laps to go. And after a spirited fight for 4th position, here's how it all unfolded going to 3.
So Butterbean got held up behind the 31. Michael Maples was in the middle as well. And Butterbean just drove it down off of turn number 4 next to that inside wall. Bounced off of the 6th of LeVar Scott and grabbed that spot back.
And LeVar with a bit of a crossover. Here it is again going into 3.
LeVar just got in the corner just a little bit too hard, trying to clear those lap cars. That allowed Butterbean an opportunity to get back to his inside.
certainly had our attention and the attention of the fans in the grandstands, who were all pointing at that fight as it got physical for fourth, with Queen holding on to the spot. Lapcevich with a dive underneath Willie Mullins, and that's going to put Mullins 1 lap off the leaders in 10th.
Lapcevich has enough of a lead, 2.5 seconds now. He doesn't need to take any chances with these lap cars.
Reeves, however, in danger of being trapped behind a couple of cars. It's Becca Monopoly in the 85, Tim Goulet in the 31. Reeves is able to clear both by the end of the backstretch.
I think Reeves is far enough behind now. He's going to need a caution to do anything with Lapcevich. And that's the last thing that Lapcevich wants to see right now is a caution flag. And remember, we will end this race under green. If we get a caution before the white flag is displayed, then we will have a green-white checkered finish. If we get a caution on the final lap after the white flag is displayed, then it would be a 1-lap finish.
We've seen that play out already this season. But now Lawless Allen in third, and nearly 5 seconds in arrears of Trayton Lapcevich as the leader. Also looking for some clear running room to see if he can mount some sort of charge. With Butterbean in fourth, LeVar Scott your top 5, 7 to go on Lapcevich as he comes back to the line.
Yeah, Trayton just holding his breath right now that we stay green. Top of the show, we talked about the prowess of Butterbean on the short tracks. We thought that would be such a huge advantage for him this season. Well, it didn't happen this race. It doesn't mean it won't happen next week at Elko, Minnesota, but a couple guys had the measure of Butterbean in that 28 car this week.
Here's Trayton Lapcevich, and if the name may sound familiar to those of you who have been following racing for quite some time, we talked about the fact that he himself is a NASCAR Canada Series champion. His father, Jeff Lapcevich, longtime competitor in the series, along with his uncle Jim. Of course, a lot of that racing initially for the family took place north of the border from Grimsby, Ontario, Canada. But for Trayton and his family, they thought the best thing for him to do to try to get into a spotlight, get in a position to make the most of opportunities yielded to him in his career, you got to go stateside. And they did so in a late model stock car. And it did not take long for Trayton to prove that he belongs. Well, it may not take him long to prove the same here in ARCA. 3 to go.
Looking around the racetrack, and most of the cars are fairly separated, so we shouldn't have any cars making any contact.
Lapcevich does have a knot of cars up ahead of him that he may have to navigate before he gets to the checkered flag, with 2 to go as he goes around Brad Smith in the 48. What an unbelievable day it could be for Trayton Lapcevich. He's going to come down for the line. White flag in the air from Berlin. Lapcevich, who got the call from Nitro Motorsports to drive this car for this race, brought along some partnerships that have helped him all the way through. He won the General Tire pole. He's going to lead every lap and get his first career ARCA Menards win for Trayton Lapcevich at Berlin Raceway.
Just a dominating performance for this young man, and the first win for Nitro Motorsports. And by the way, the crew chief on this car, we showed early in the race that battle 2023 between Sawalich and Jesse Love. Well, his crew chief for Jesse Love was Shannon Rush. He's a crew chief on this 70 car. They won 10 races in 2023, and he's going to win again here at Berlin.
And we're going to add another first-time ARCA winner to the history of Berlin Raceway. Lapcevich, your winner. Max Reeves in his ARCA debut second. Lawless Allen third. But for Trayton Lapcevich, not knowing what he was going to do at the start of 2025, thought his plans were pretty much ironed out, and he's pretty much had to piecemeal together whatever opportunity that he could. Made the most of a start with Venerini Motorsports at Phoenix, finishing third. And he put a whooping on the field at Berlin Raceway on what is a big night for not only Trayton, but Phil, as you said, for this team as they get set to, I would say, turn things up a few notches going into 2026.
It's already been announced that they're actually going to absorb the Venturini team, so they will have multi-cars under the Nitro Motorsports banner. But this is a huge night for Nick Tucker, Shannon Rush, Trayton Lapsevich, and that entire team.
The Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship has been a longtime supporter for Trayton. In fact, they're promoting one of their upcoming fights on the hood of his race car, as they did in Phoenix. And Trayton said he's had the chance to go out to some of those events. The fan base is incredible. Thought maybe we'd have a bit of a bare knuckle fight at the end of this one, but he put too much of a gap between himself and Max Reeves for that to be possible. And he is saluting the Berlin crowd, and they are saluting him right back.
Just a nice feel-good story for that young man. College student, as we mentioned. Got to be back to work, I'm sure, Monday in his internship.
Trayton still residing north of the border, even after the full-time foray in late model stock cars in 2024. Had his brother with him, along with his girlfriend, here on the night on what has turned into perhaps one of the biggest nights for Trayton. And Phil, I would say this would be a good petition for him to maybe get more looks in, if not this race car, but any race car in the ARCA field.
Yeah, without a doubt. What an outstanding performance. Certainly deserves another opportunity. And I'm sure we haven't seen the last of Trayton Lapsevich for sure.
Trayton being directed to what is victory lane here at Berlin Raceway. And this team, Nick Tucker is someone who has been around motorsports forever. In fact, Nitro Motorsports, it really was known as a karting platform for the most part. So many drivers, in fact, if you check it out, their alumni list is long, and it includes so many names that are currently racing in some of the top tier portions of motorsports. They also have a Trans Am team that they run to kind of help drivers and competitors brush up on their road racing skills. And the plan is to expand on this ARCA program next year, as we mentioned. But for Nick Tucker and everyone who's been behind that group, this has got to be a really big night for them and a boost of confidence into what's still to come for this organization.
Yeah, without a doubt. Some really good things in store. They were having a good season with Thad Moffitt. As you mentioned earlier, the funding ran out for Thad. He probably will run this car some more this year, but Trayton Lapsevich took an opportunity to jump in this car and made the most of it for sure.
We got a glimpse of Lawless Allen offering up a thumbs up after his third place effort. And a congratulatory notion to Trayton and this team. The team is starting to assemble around the race car. For the first time in Trayton Lapsevich's motorsports career, he will be celebrated as an ARCA Menards Series winner.
That's his crew chief in the red shirt talking to him through the window, Shannon Rush. No stranger to victory lane in the ARCA Series.
Caught a quick glimpse of the smile that's currently draped across the face of Trayton Lapsevich after that one. Trayton in victory lane at Berlin Raceway. We'll touch base with our winner, Trayton Lapsevich, when we come back to Berlin. Welcome back to the Hearst Snacks 200. Trayton Lapsevich is an ARCA Menards Series winner, leading every lap en route to victory. An unbelievable effort in his second career start. And we are going to welcome in our race winner, Trayton Lapsevich, straight from victory lane.
Trayton, this is Phil Parsons up in the Fox booth. What a great job there, buddy. I know you got your right-hand man there, Shannon Rush, right behind you. That thing was hooked up, wasn't it?
Yes, sir. Man, I don't even know what to say. Just a big thanks to Nitro Motorsports. Shannon and the guys had this thing hooked up. Huge thanks to Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, Evram, Julian Remillard, Ellie, Max Flynn, all these guys that made this happen. Just super thankful. I haven't been in the seat a whole lot this year, and these guys came together and it made this possible for me. So super excited, and just huge thanks to all the guys at Nitro for truly giving me a rocket ship.
Trade Eric Brennan up here. We got to catch up earlier before you got in this race car for qualifying, and you said as of right now, this is the only scheduled race. Are you hoping this opens the door for you to do a bunch more of these with us?
Man, I hope so. I had a ton of fun today, and you know, driving fast race cars, Nitro Motorsports, it's always fun. So yeah, hopefully we can do more of them and get back to victory lane this season at some point.
Dragon, we had a bunch more cautions than we usually have here. Man, you had to fight those guys off on these restarts.
Yeah, really just trying to get the comfortability with the car on the restarts. Had to understand how hard I could push it in a turn one. And that second half of the race really, you know, started to come to life on the restarts and be able to defend a lot better and retain the lead.
Drayton, traditionally in your racing career, you find success at places you've never been to before. This is one of the few spots that you got a good bit of experience at. How much did that play out into your level of confidence to go out and do what you did tonight?
Absolutely, definitely helped. I mean, this is a super tough track, but I love it. So always love coming out here to Berlin, and hope to do it some more times too. It's always love how much kind of finesse it takes to drive the car, and it truly makes for a lot of fun.
You taking the party back up north? Or you guys gonna have a good time here tonight?
We're gonna have a good time here tonight for a little bit, and then we might head back up north. But like I said, just a huge thanks to everyone that made this possible. All the fans north of the border, south of the border. Just truly thankful for all the support and the opportunity to do this.
Drayton, we wish you the best of luck. We hope we see you again on the ARCA calendar this year. Congratulations, you're an ARCA Menards Series winner.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Drayton Lapcevich, unbelievable job on the racetrack. And here are our results, and what a great battle we had all throughout this race, all across this top 10.
Yeah, we had such a great battle really for second on back, maybe not so much for the lead. Drayton Lapcevich dominated, leading all 200 laps, but Max Reeves and Lawless and Butterbean in fourth, LeVar Scott, Isabella, Mason Mitchell all battled extremely hard. Good top 10s for Jason Kitzmiller and Matt Kemp as well, along with Big Willie.
We got a new face to add to our win list in 2025. Butterbean has 3. Brent Cruz at Phoenix, Lawless Allen Talladega, Austin Green at Charlotte, and now Drayton Lapcevich grabbing the first win for Nitro Motorsports in that team's history. And we are very hopeful that we'll see Drayton at least one more time in 2025. Phil, what a race, what a place. I love this racetrack, and I hope we keep coming back here for year after year. This place is awesome.
Yeah, I don't ever remember coming here, even though I grew up in Detroit. Now, I may have been here back in the 60s, and I just don't remember it, but can't wait to come back.
This track has so much to enjoy, and it has delivered for the 7th race of the 2025 ARCA Menards Series season, and that's a good piece of hardware. They may have to find a suitcase to fit that thing and to get it back up over to Canada.
Well, at least they drove. He was telling us they drove. It was about a 5-hour drive, so they'll have room for it, I'm sure, in the car.
Next up for the ARCA Menards Series, Elko Speedway, 9 p.m. next Saturday, June 21st, also Phil's birthday on FS2. Looking forward to watching that one. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. On behalf of Phil Parsons and our entire production team, I'm Eric Brennan. Congratulations to Drayton Lapcevich. So long from Berlin.